like that, Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA, the team owners, the Players Association, in the split of an instance, all of it can change. In a split instance, all of it can change. If this injury does anything, it should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear overnight.
Hey, just like that, the WNBA's Kathy Engelbert is the owner of the team and its players. According to the WNBA, if they roughed up Caitlin Clark every night, the fans would simply clap like it was halftime at a middle school game. Oh no. A plot twist: fans are not only upset that Clark was body-checked as if it were Game 7 of the NHL Finals, but they are also boycotting as if it were Black Friday and the referees had stolen their coupons. Although the league desired physical play, there is currently a full-court protest. Who knew that hurling elbows at your MVP ticket sales was the first step towards equality? Get ready for this epic tale.
Announced that Caitlin Clark will be out a minimum of 2 weeks with a quad injury. Could this injury have been prevented? Can the Indiana Fever win without her? And what does this mean for the WNBA?
Oh, the WNBA believed it would have a quiet, drama-free season. That is very cute, because Caitlin Clark's team decided it had other plans just when everything appeared to be going smoothly. Ratings were skyrocketing, jerseys were flying off the shelves, and every Fever game was being treated like a Taylor Swift concert. She is currently benched. While the WNBA is silently panicking behind closed doors and acting as though everything is fine, fans are acting as though the Earth has fallen out of orbit. It's not.
We know Caitlin Clark was lost yesterday to an injury for at least 2 weeks. Now, the thing about it is they're going to reevaluate in 2 weeks. And of course, man, these teams, I told you earlier, these WNBA franchises that moved games like the Chicago Sky to the United Arena, you're screwed. You're done. You're cooked. Nobody is going to show up to this thing. Chicago Sky can't sell out their own 9,000 something seat arena like it is. They couldn't when they were kind of decent.
2 weeks. Clark has been sitting with a strained quadriceps for that long. Not a tear, not a break, but enough to flip the league script upside down her thigh, basically filed for PTO. And the Fever's franchise cornerstone is now relaxing on the sideline as the WNBA scrambles to hold the limelight, and the reactions, oh, they've been subtle. If by subtle you mean full public breakdown.
Oh my God, guys, breaking news. Caitlin Clark is hurt. I didn't believe it when I saw it myself. She's injured. She has a quad injury, a left quad injury. It's a quadriceps strain, and the team announced today, about 2 hours ago, she's going to be out 2 weeks at the minimum. 2 weeks without Caitlin Clark. This team is finished.
Clark's followers, dubbed the most rabid merch-wearing Twitter cackalock supporters since Michael Jordan stans, are already staging tearful walkouts. They've made a minor injury into a revolution. I'm done watching till Clark returns. This league ain't worth it without her. Boycott the WNBA. These people are behaving like the league personally smacked their granny and stole their dog. Meanwhile, every other player is out here saying, "Hi, we exist too." While the internet says, "Not now, sweetheart."
It's the latter. It could mean that Caitlin Clark could potentially miss the rest of the season. This 2-week timetable that people are running with, that's just when Caitlin Clark is going to be reevaluated. As of now, she will be reevaluated on June 9th. That does not mean, and it's highly unlikely, that June 9th or shortly thereafter is when Caitlin Clark is cleared to return.
And Indiana, while they're now finding what life is like without their golden goose, the Caitlin Clark show has temporarily gone off air, and now Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell are trying to keep the entire brand together with duct tape, and Hustle Mitchell's playing like she's got 3 lungs, Boston's rebounding like she's fighting ghosts, and Coach Stephanie White is rewriting game plans like she's in the Hunger Games. However, given that the teams facing them in the next games have been as dangerous as tepid soup, the Fever could really hold out. Not to offend the Chicago Sky, alright, a slight offense.
No way. Every team's going to come at them and try to take them out, especially without Caitlin. They're going to lose some games here, and that's going to set them back. It's really hard to believe this, but yeah, she's out. There's no other details. When did this happen? Could have happened in this game. We're not sure. Most likely in a practice yesterday. She's out for 2 weeks, man.
Let's be honest, though. It's not the highlight videos, scoreboard, or even the real basketball that makes the WNBA the most exciting. It's watching the league try to pretend it's still a party when the life of said party, Caitlin Clark, was recently placed on the bench. Clark wasn't simply mentioned as MVP before to her accident. She was the talk of the town. Indeed, some attempted to portray her as a long shot who is only competent for a rookie, but that would be equivalent to claiming Beyoncé is suitable for a singer. Please, Caitlin wasn't simply putting up numbers like a one-woman rescue effort. She was bringing an entire franchise back into the spotlight. She had the celebrity shoutouts, sellouts, ratings, yelling fans, and nosebleeds sporting handmade jerseys glued with glitter. She brought more than simply exhilaration. She restarted the WNBA's algorithm by herself. We're talking about stadia that broke attendance records and suddenly recalled what it's like to be packed, with merchandise flying off the racks more quickly than Taylor Swift tickets. Now that the Queen is momentarily off the board, everyone is acting as though the MVP race is suddenly open and the other teams aren't merely circling her. 5 minutes prior adorable.
WNBA news. Caitlin Clark is out for a minimum of 2 weeks with a quad strain, and our next question is, what does this mean for the Fever? So Cece is going to be missing the second Sky rematch since playing them the first weekend of the season, which is definitely a bummer, but on the bright side, this injury doesn't seem too bad. It's just some quad tightness. But fear not, Fever fans. We talked to Caitlin earlier this month, and she doesn't seem too worried about the depth of this roster.
So I think our depth is probably what I would worry about the most. You know, if somebody doesn't have it one night, you're just going to the next person on the bench and the next person, and you know, we're going to have to be able to find a way to use that to the best of our ability.
Caitlin seems like she has faith in her team, but we will see how this squad performs on the court without their number one player.
The Fever, meanwhile, are quietly working things out back in Indiana, and they could even benefit from it. Because the rest of the team is stepping up without Clark doing virtually everything, and when she returns, relaxed, refocused, and completely finished with all the commotion, fasten your seatbelt. After 2 weeks of quad rehab, picture Clark rushing back into the court, stealing threes from the parking lot, and shooing away any skeptics who attempted to dismiss her. It's an encore, not simply a comeback. The real kicker is this. The Fever will be a major issue if they can make it through this stretch, remain competitive, and perhaps even pull off a few close victories. With Mitchell fired up and Clark healthy, Boston will be confident and might be a postseason spoiler with more momentum than a goods train. So sure, Caitlin Clark is injured temporarily, but the WNBA is still rolling, maybe louder than ever, because now every plotline's frying at once. MVP drama fan feuds between rising stars, conspiracy theories, and the eventual return tour of Clark.
Just as I started talking about Caitlin Clark being in the MVP race, it is announced that she suffered a left quad injury and she is going to miss at least 2 weeks. And this is such a bummer because the Fever were off to a great start this season. Caitlin Clark was playing out of her mind. She had already broken some records in the first 3 games, and now she's going to be sidelined for 2 weeks. We'll see how the team will hold up without her. Obviously, she's the primary ball handler, playmaker, and shot maker. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can sustain and just hold even at 500 or better, and she can get back and keep them in playoff contention.
Here's a reality check for all the basketball fans who are boycotting the league until their basketball messiah returns. It seems like watching the WNBA after the main performer has left the stage when Caitlin isn't there. Although the league is full with talented players, without her, the drama is at best tepid and the sparks are absent. Send a furious tweet from your beanbag with a Clark theme. Since the WNBA is surviving rather than changing, it won't only be basketball when she returns. We're in this strange contradiction where the games are more entertaining but no one is watching, yet it will be the show we've all been waiting for. There will be no more viral fouls or arguments over whether that was an exorcism effort or a hard foul. The conversation has subsided since Clark is no longer subjected to body checks every 5 minutes, and that is precisely what the WNBA is most afraid of since controversy sells. Despite the league's best efforts to emphasize basketball brilliance, the numbers increased when Kaylin was struck in the jaw rather than when someone made a textbook backdoor cut. When Enrique Ambal released 30 minutes, the headlines didn't go crazy. When Clark was severely fouled and someone tweeted assault, they erupted. Now that their chaos engine is benched, the WNBA, which has been receiving free publicity from chaos, is anxiously glancing at the stat sheets as if they were their credit card bill. Oh, and let's not even talk about the merchandisers. Pallets of Caitlin Clark jerseys are laying about in a warehouse somewhere, looking like they say, "Hey, remember us?" The moment she hobbled off the court, sales slowed, and the accountants were sweating like they had just bought 2024 Beanie Babies. The WNBA's equivalent of an eclipse would be a 12-game Caitlin Clark break, which would be extremely inconvenient for anyone attempting to sell tickets.
She's human after all, Dan. She's going to be out for at least a couple of weeks, it appears.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about Caitlin Clark? Remember last year, she played in the Final Four. Right after that, she went immediately to the WNBA. Draft came, season started, and, didn't miss a beat. And all of a sudden, she got a little rest and comes back, gets a little banged up.
And fans are now acting out like toddlers who have received the incorrect Happy Meal toy, which is what fans do best. The whole comment section is blazing with "she should have gone to Europe" cries. Naturally, that is the sensible way to avoid getting hurt. Gather your belongings and leave the continent. Dunking on Lithuanian 19-year-olds for $5,000 a week seems to speed up the healing of the quadriceps muscle. Brilliant, however. Let's discuss the story of why she ought to have traveled to Europe. First of all, yes, the pay overseas is often better because oligarchs don't care about salary caps. Second, yes, European fans worship their basketball queens like royalty. But Clark didn't come to the WNBA for comfort, she came to take over, and taking over isn't easy when half the league treats you like a piñata and the other half pretends they're not obsessed with your every move. Speaking of obsession, let's take a minute to quiet those who despise Caitlin Clark. Their hate watch rituals were still in their infancy. They had the tweets lined up, the memes, the breathless "she's overrated" takes bookmarked and ready, and now nothing radio silence. It's hard to hate watch someone who isn't playing their like sitcom villains who suddenly lost their lead actress wandering around with too much time and too many opinions.
Big news just released by the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark has suffered a quad injury, and she is going to be out for a minimum of 2 weeks. Really bad news for people going to games at home hoping to see Caitlin.
Meanwhile, Angel Reese is absolutely making the most of the spotlight. She's flexing trash talking and turning post-game pressers into TED Talks about haters, doubters, and media bias. And here's the kicker, it's working. The drama's delicious every time Reese shows out in a beautiful suit and drops 15 rebounds. She's boosting her brand, unapologetic, unbothered, and here to conquer. Clark may have brought the fans in, but Rhee is keeping the pot stirred while the queen rests. Let's not forget that Clark Rhee was meant to be the game of the week, the rematch, the main event. Fever, ver Caitlin, ver Angel. The ratings bonanza everyone was drooling over, but now it's like showing up to WrestleMania and finding out The Rock stayed home. Sure, the show continues on, but it doesn't hit the same, and don't think the league's marketing crew didn't cry during their conference call when they had to trash all those Clash of Titans promos. Now it's more like watch two rising teams try not to trip over each other's missed layups. But let's zoom out a bit. Caitlin, perhaps Clark's injury was the best thing that could have happened to the WNBA. Remain with me.
Why?
Because the league is being forced to demonstrate that it has several stars. Fans are being forced to meet athletes they haven't followed, acknowledge excellence that isn't popular on TikTok, and realize that Clark is only the start of a movement rather than its entirety.
Clark might be a demigorgon. I was watching the WNBA, there was nothing on the TV, so I said, why do I just support women? I'm a proud feminist anyways. It was one of the worst things I've ever watched. All I saw was straight bricks. But Caitlin Clark might be a demigorgon. That girl can hoop. I will.
We're seeing in real time the Angel Reese psychological meltdown as she's actually being forced to grasp the fact that the thing that she is best at in her life, which is basketball, Caitlin Clark is exponentially better at than she is.
Videos of Kala Copper lighting it up for the Mercury appear out of nowhere. The fact that Brianna Stewart is still a walking bucket is being remembered. Players like Durkika Hamby are now receiving praise for their steady play that doesn't go viral. Now, The league is displaying depth in skill and true club identity. Can you imagine that? And when Clark comes back, and she will come back, you can guarantee the fever around the fever will hit a new level. If anything, this breach is adding fuel to the flames. Her reappearance won't just be a moment, it'll be an event, a resurrection, a statement. And every player who misjudged her when she was sidelined better pray she doesn't come back with retribution. Threes raining from the skies. The fever isn't the true loser here. It's not Clark. The league isn't even involved. The supporters who gave up as soon as she announced her ailment are the true losers, as they were not present for Collier's ascent. They missed the opportunity to see a league finally be compelled to expand outside its most well-known moniker. They missed rechanging in real time. Additionally, you can't simply revisit that type of lost chance on ESPN+. After a week without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA has not only persevered, but also adjusted. Additionally, it will be tried once again in a few games, because there won't be any justifications when she returns. No grace period for rookies. She spent 40 minutes attempting to make up for lost time, burn nets, and silenced all of the critics who believed her injury was the end of the road. There was no acclimation to professional play.